Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Caleb. Again, as a reminder, we'll do our best to kind of speak loud and clear, and so everyone can hear us online, and also do our best to kind of repeat those questions so folks who maybe are listening audio on just audio platform can hear the question that we're trying to answer. So good segue actually from Caleb as we starting to see some increased growth this afternoon with the expected weather. I'd like to go ahead and introduce your county sheriff, Brian Gutkin. Brian's going to come give you an update in regard to evacuations and other things.
Thanks, Corey. I apologize for being late. I'm not very good at sitting in a command post, so I was out up Bridger Canyon checking things out. Wind is picking up, fire is picking up. Our teams are out there and they're doing what they need to be done. I'll back up a little bit. Fire folks, their job is fire and property. Our job is people for law enforcement, for sheriff's office. That's what we're focused on. So our responsibility is access to that area or denying access to that area, warnings, and then evacuations. And we've done all of that in the last day and a half, 2 days. So first day that it was coming out, we immediately started warning folks in the entire Bridger Canyon. We were on it immediately, going house to house and giving warning packets to all of our citizens and our residents to prepare them for what we knew what was going to happen the next day, which was yesterday. Yesterday AM, we're still doing the same exact thing, going up the canyon, visiting with folks, letting them know it's going to get worse. And if you see us again, it's time to go. So that's what we did yesterday afternoon. Perfect storm, fire behavior, winds, and we were prepared and ready to roll. That's when I made the call to start evacuating people in Bridger Canyon. So we had numerous teams. I called our surrounding sheriffs. Within an hour, we had deputies from around the state responding here to help us out. What was tough about yesterday, and the fire folks know this better than anybody, the wind switched and the fire switched. And so we were going in different directions. We were heading up the canyon towards Bridger Bowl, and then next thing you know, we're headed south going down Jackson Creek, and then coming around last night and making sure that Kelly Canyon had all of the evacuation notices. So we were spread pretty thin, but we did an outstanding job. Again, pretty incredible that we did not lose anyone yesterday with as quick as that fire moved and with everything that was going on yesterday. Yeah, we were lucky, but also having a ton of resources out there and people helping us, that goes to say a lot about everything that happened. Switching gears right now really quick, I'll talk about social media and information. I wake up this morning and I'm reading that Bridger Bowl had burned down, and I wake up and I'm thinking, what the heck are you talking about? What did I miss? Jump in my car, head up to Bridger Bowl, everything's fine. I get on the horn, we start getting stuff out to the public. I get on the radio, so I apologize to the Forest Service, but I'm not gonna wait around. We are gonna put information out as soon as we can and let people know what's going on. Because of all of the misinformation that's going out there. We're gonna make sure that it's factual and that everything's good, but that was my call on letting people know what's going on. And then support, we're getting overwhelming support from the public, for everybody, from the fire service, for all of our local agencies, almost to the point where we can't handle it. So I wanna direct everyone that wants to help us, whether it's food, water, animals, people helping with animals, all of that stuff, 211. 211 is the easiest way to get answers to the questions. You're going to talk to a human being. We're going to get you taken care of. So we get through today, and tomorrow we get some rain and things start to slow down. We'll reevaluate and start letting folks back in. But right now we're not letting anybody into that canyon, so our fire folks can do what they need to do.
Sheriff, we have a question.
Sure.
For people displaced from the fire, what is their best source of information on the status of their home and access to their home?
So unfortunately right now, we don't have that information, and that's what's tough right now, because we're still in react mode. We still have an active fire, and we have people in there. So we don't have that information. Tomorrow, absolutely, that's when we're gonna start going door to door again and finding out what's going on, and people can access that, and we'll probably run that through 211 as well, or through our PIOs. But that's a good question, but right now, today, we're too busy. We can't answer those questions. We ask people to wait a day. Okay, thanks.
Corey, could you please specify a fire spread direction one more time? There's a lot of confusion online about that.
Yeah, good question. Question online right now is just clarifying the current direction of that spread. I assume from what we're seeing right now this afternoon. And Caleb, our IC, can clarify for me, but right now, the main push that we're gonna see is movement here on the east side of the Bridger Range, so in the Bridger Mountains, on the west side of the highway, and it's aligned, really towards Bridger Bowl. Granted, Bridger Bowl's a few miles away, but we've got trigger points in place, we've got action points in place, working with the sheriff and all of our cooperators and partners. We've got some plans in place, and we're working hand in hand with Bridger Bowl management and their leadership. But right now, this is kind of what we're seeing. But as Caleb said earlier, we're still going to have a rough day with weather. Hopefully not as bad as yesterday, but there's definitely potential for that fire to want to move east, more towards Jackson Creek. Obviously some potential down here on the south part towards the highway as well.
One last question, the current size of the fire?
Yeah, good question. Clarification on the size of the fire. As Caleb said, about Friday night, we thought it was about 200-300 acres. It was really hard to get a good size estimate yesterday, and so best information, at one point we said the fire size was about 11,000 acres. Last night we flew an infrared flight, and that is a really neat technology that tells you exactly where there's heat on the ground. And so as of 10 o'clock last night, that's when that flight was flown, was 10 o'clock last night. The acres were about 7,000 acres. And so that was good, that number went down. But again, that's from 10 o'clock last night. As you heard folks say, the fire's picking up, it's making some growth right now. So obviously that number is going to continue to increase.
Last question, could you please talk about the temporary flight restriction and just specify or clarify whether or not drones are allowed within that?
Thank you. I'm going to actually hand that over to Caleb. He can speak directly to that in regard to the elevations and some of the other restrictions in TFR.
So the TFR is in place. It is a temporary flight restriction. There is no drone traffic allowed within the TFR at any level or height under which drones, public or private drones, can operate. And if drones do enter the TFR space, we are required to shut down that area for aviation operations. So it's really important that folks stay out of the area with drone operations. They can have a real impact on our success out there with the fire. So.
Thanks, Caleb. And actually on that note, I will emphasize just enclosures in general. I was going to kind of close with this, but we're on that topic. In addition to the TFR restrictions that Caleb just spoke to, we obviously have closures on the ground. The sheriff already spoke to some of those with the highway, but as it relates to National Forest and the Bridger Range, all of the Bangtail Mountain Range National Forest is completely closed. And right now, everything on the Bridger Range from Flathead Pass south all the way to the end is in part of an aerial closure. And I just can't emphasize enough, as Caleb was saying, to please ask you to respect those closures. Let our firefighters get in there and do their jobs, and just less things to worry about when we're trying to find folks. And then again, as Caleb said, aviation is really critical right now. If that drone gets in there, it's gonna put a stop to that. So just please ask folks to respect those closures. No other questions at the moment, so go ahead and move on to our next speaker. Would like to go ahead and introduce Hoyt Richards. Hoyt's with the DNRC out of the Helena office. He's engaged right here out of Bozeman on all sorts of stuff. So I'm gonna turn it to Hoyt.
Thank you, Court.
My name is Hoyt Richards. I'm with the Montana DNRC. First of all, I guess the Montana DNRC would like to open up our hearts, and we understand that this is a significant event, and we're here with you, and we know that this community is going through a lot, and we're here to support this community and support all of you that are out there going through this event. Why is the Montana DNRC here? Would be a question that I would be asking, and we have a process in Montana where counties can request assistance. And very quickly at the beginning of this incident, county leadership requested assistance from the Montana DNRC. Now, what does assistance look like can be very dependent on the situation. In this situation, we're not here to take over. They've already talked about Unified Command. We're here to assist the county, and we assist them by providing leadership, financial, resources, and other needs that they need. So we talked a little bit about Unified Command, and the DNRC is very aware that a lot of local volunteers, a lot of resources from this valley responded to this event, and the sheriff's office, etc. A lot of people have put a lot of effort into that, and we're greatly appreciative of those efforts. Thank you to all those individuals. It's much appreciated. The state of Montana is reliant on those volunteers, and they make us proud each and every day. So thank you for their service. So we talked a little bit about this fire over the last 2 days, and it grew up. As we heard, we had extreme fire behavior, and the fire had extreme events yesterday. During that event, 3 DNRC firefighters were in the middle of the fire, and they took evasive action to protect themselves. They deployed shelters, and we're proud to say that they walked through that event. Some great leadership, some great training, some quick decisive action allowed them to come out, and we got them to the hospital. En route to the hospital, we provided them food and water, and we're happy to say that they're released right now, and they're on their way homes. When we talk about lives and property, that is our primary concern. And we've already talked a little bit about the next day or two. It's going to be weather-wise setting up. The DNRC is here to continue to support, and our goal is that everybody returns home safely, which are the firefighters,